But we must never speak of the times before the Great Rebirth. So in all dystopian societies and books, we always have this kind of big cataclysmic moment, which thereafter, after that, everything has now become what the society is right now. So this Great Rebirth has, before it, things were terrible, the Great Rebirth, and now the society is how it is. So we're all very happy with, like, at least the characters in the story are very thankful for the Great Rebirth. And in fact, not just that, you can't even talk about the times before the Great Rebirth. Else, we are sentenced to 3 years in the palace of corrective detention. It is only the old ones who whisper about it in the evenings, in the home of the useless. Just imagine the old people. Now, firstly, you can imagine why old people talk about the past, talk about the time before the Great Rebirth, because they're old. They've probably lived through that time. And so that's one thing, that they have some first-hand experience and knowledge of what happened before the Great Rebirth. But here's the second thing, that the irony is that these people who have lived through that time are now in the home of the useless. And like, therefore, their word of what happened before the Great Rebirth and how it was before the Great Rebirth and everything to do with the Great Rebirth, that is just like not relevant at all. So we can just ignore them completely. Okay, so home of the useless. They whisper many strange things. See, now they're zany, they're cuckoo, they're half mad. They whisper many strange things of the towers which rose to the sky in those unmentionable times, and of the wagons which moved without horses, and of the lights which burned without flame. So a little bit of description we are getting, although we're not supposed to talk about it, and nobody does. But obviously the reader...
I think the Great Rebirth is after the 21st century.
Yeah, I guess so. Because
and after that, they went, the technology went down.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is.
They went to the old pioneer lives again.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so and of the wagons which move without horses, and of the lights which burned without flame. But those times were evil, and those times passed away when men saw the great truth, which is this. What is the great truth? That all men are one, and that there is no will save the will of all men together. So nobody is separate. We are all together. That's what it technically means. All men are good and wise. It is only we, equality 72521, we alone who are born with a curse, for we are not like our brothers. And as we look back upon our life, we see that it has ever been thus, and that it has brought us step by step to our last supreme transgression, our crime of crimes hidden here under the ground. So what he's saying is, unfortunately, although every single person is one and together and our brothers, the collective is good, but we, meaning I, equality 72521, we have a curse. And this curse makes us so bad, and why is it a curse? Because it has led us to our supreme transgression. Supreme transgression means biggest evil that we could do. And because of that biggest evil, we have had to hide underground. We are hidden here underground. Okay, so we, meaning he, like he's talking to himself in like this third person sort of place, we, in this third person kind of way, we. But he's actually just a he, okay? When we were 5 years old, we were sent to the home of the students where there are 10 wards for our 10 years of learning. Men must learn till they reach their 15th year. Okay, so you are from age 5 plus 10 years. So when you're at age 5, 10 years you need to study. So at the age of 15, till they reach 15th year, they must study. Then you work. In the home of the students, what happens? We arose when the big bell rang in the tower. We went to our beds when it rang again. So there's a big bell, and it kind of indicates a lot of things. The big bell is really important. Before we removed our garments, we stood in the great sleeping hall and we raised our right hands and we said all together with the 3 teachers at the head, we are nothing. Meaning we, because he's talking about himself, I, he or himself or I as a we, right? So we are nothing, meaning I am nothing. This is what they're being taught just before they're wearing their clothes, okay? And technically that just means they're saying this when they're wearing their clothes.
I think they abolished the word I.
Yeah, they've abolished the word I, exactly. So we are nothing, mankind, like all of us together is something. By the grace of our brothers are we allowed our lives. We exist through, by, and for our brothers who are the state. Amen. Which means that we have no haysiyat. Like the word is, we have no respect. We have no personality. We have no existence outside of the collective mankind, which is the state. So like the government is our ruler. Okay, so now if you remember in that dystopian society page that I showed you guys, it said one of the very common themes of a dystopia or a dystopian society is that there's some person who's in control. And then there were many different examples. Like they said, like in iRobots and like other science fiction movies, sometimes the robots are in control. And then they said sometimes religion is in control, like Christianity or the church is ruling everyone. And, you know, and they kill people who are sinning, who are sinful. But in some of the books, like in this one, the state, the government, and very similar, I think in even Animal Farm, like, you know, Napoleon's government, that was what was the important person, right? So anyway, in this one, it is the state. Then we slept. The sleeping halls were white and clean and bare of all things except save 100 beds. So 100 people, okay? We equality, and you want to think, why are there nothing except bare, empty spaces and white spaces? Because they don't want any personality. Like, you know, if you wear like a lot of color, like let's say like Hubaib's wearing a blue shirt and I'm wearing a green shirt, a yellow shirt. So this shows that we're kind of exposing our personality.
Individuality.
Yeah, our individuality. But no, you don't have a say. You cannot express yourself. Some people say, oh, I love art. And then you'll ask them why. Why do you love art? Because we can communicate to the world. These are the kind of answers you'll hear real artists say. Because we can express ourselves, because we can be ourselves, we can be with our thoughts, we can, we feel confident. It's all about themselves. Some people say we love to write every day. So then if you ask them why, so they say, because when we write, we actually learn more about ourselves, or we love writing because of XYZ reason. So the thing is, no, none of these things are allowed. You need to they're stripping all sense of a person's existence from this entire society. But anyway, we equality 72521 were not, and see, even the name is so. The name A, it's numbered, right? Like in The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, it was like uniforms and striped pajamas and all that. So he's being given a number. So they're dehumanizing him. They're removing his humanity and his personality. But also his name is like equality. Like, you know, that, oh, we're all the same and I'm nobody. And it's all about us rather than me or I.
Also, in the Giver also, every child had a number. Of
Exactly.
each age group, all the childs were numbered.
Exactly, they did. We, equality 72521, were not happy in those years in the home of the students. It was not that the learning was hard for us. It was that the learning was too easy. And this is a great sin, to be born with a head which is too quick. Now, see, these kind of philosophies and ideas have been taught to them that, oh, if you're too smart and if things are easy for you, that's a sin. Because it's not good to be different from your brothers. In fact, it is evil to be superior to them, to be smarter than them. It's evil. The teachers, okay, so look, the teachers are like these body of teachers. That's why they're capitalizing it. They're not keeping it like small t. They capitalize. The teachers told us so, and they frowned when they looked upon us. That look down upon us, you know, that, oh, you're smart. The lessons are easy for you. No, that is wrong. So we fought against this curse. We tried to forget our lessons, but we always remembered the lessons. We tried not to understand what the teachers taught us, but we always understood it before the teachers had even said it and spoken. We looked upon Union 529, okay, this is the child. And see, even the word union means togetherness. So all of their names are like equality, togetherness, and then a number. So when we looked upon union, whatever, who were, okay, look, he's a we, he's not who was. Why aren't they saying who was a pale boy? Who were? Because he's a we.
I and was is abolished.
Yeah, exactly. So we looked upon him, we looked upon this other we who were a pale boy with only half a brain. And we tried to say and do as they did, that we might be like them, like Union this, but some other teachers knew that we were not. And we were lashed more often than all the other children. Now look at this. We were, Union, whatever, was born with half a brain. And we're not like him. So in a sense, like if he's born with half a brain and he's not doing that well, that means that maybe this equality to 7 to whatever has a full brain. And that's why he's so smart. And that seems to be the distinction and maybe the curse upon him. Like, at least that's what right now I can derive. So let's see if that is the case or not. But it seems to me like it is this brain of his that's causing all this trouble, this curse that he's trying to forget, but he can't. And he's understanding things before they're even said out loud. Anyway, if I have a brain, or if I'm intelligent, that's a gift. The teachers were just, for they had been appointed by the councils, and the councils are the voice of all justice, for they are the voice of all men. Simple. Look at the simplicity of the statements. And if you remember, in Animal Farm, I taught you one thing, that sentences which are overly simple, that look really like sensible on the surface. When you look at them on the surface, they look like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, for example, look at this sentence. All computers think, all brains think, so our brain is a computer. In a sense, it makes sense. Right? In a sense, it makes sense that, yeah, our brains think, yes, computers can think and can do some sort of calculation. So then our brains are a computer. But there's something inherently wrong with this statement. In fact, it's completely wrong. How is our brain a computer? It's not. It's our brain. It's an organ. It's not a machine. Or if you say, like, a computer can think and is a machine, since the brain can think, the brain is also a machine. Again, it kind of makes sense on the surface, but it is not sensible. It is nonsense. And it is a slippery slope. It is oversimplification, and it's a slippery slope of a logical fallacy. It's logically incorrect. Now, look at the logical fallacy here. The teachers are just, for they're appointed by the councils. And the councils are the voice of all justice, for they are the voice of all men. So what they're saying is teachers are really good and really perfect. Why? Because they have been chosen by the council. And since the council is the voice of all justice, so the teachers are all just, and the councils are the voices of all justice, because the council is the voice of all men. In a way, it seems to be making perfect sense, right? You could just fall for it. Yeah, okay, the teachers then definitely are very just. But between the lines, between these statements, there's so many fragments, like between this and this and this. There's so many missing links, so many missing nexuses, that if you actually go deep into it, you'll realize that the teachers are not just, or we're not saying that they're not just. It is possible that they're not just. But the brainwashing that has been done in the society is that they are just because they have been appointed by the council. And because the council is and you know what? The council is the voice of all justice. And you know why? Because they are the voice of all men. But between these becauses, we can come up with so many problems. Like we could say, well, okay, fine. Who said to begin with that the voice of all men is the voice of justice? Like, who said that? If all people are saying that let's kill this person and he should not be killed, does that make the whole people just? No. And in fact, this is something that a lot of people say, that, majority is the authority. Whatever the mass says, whatever the crowd says, that's what's right. If 10 people are doing it, then it has to be right because so many people are doing it. But there are nexuses which are missing, links that are missing in here. And so we should be able to see it, but equality 7521, whatever, cannot see it. And the society cannot see it, that look, there's a problem. This kind of reasoning is not tying up fully.
If all men are equal, then why is there a council of vocations? And why do the council of vocations have control over everyone else?
Good point.
If everyone is equal.
Very good.
And why do they have knowledge that others don't?
Exactly, exactly. These are the dichotomies. These are the ironies. This is where everything goes awry. This is where everything breaks down. These are the missing links, the nexuses that I was talking about.